Hello and welcome to another episode of the BSN podcast. Today is Friday, September 30th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day. Yes, their day. It is in fact Friday, September 30th here today, coming off an exciting night last night in the world of football as you had a good game between the Bengals and the Dolphins. Obviously a very, very, very scary injury to Tua, a really just terrible sight watching the game, seeing him go down, number one, and then number two, seeing his hands and kind of losing feeling there for a second, and just an ugly, ugly sight in Cincinnati. Hopefully he was okay. It is good news that he did fly back with the team, all that stuff. He had communication with the doctors. He was communicating. He had all movements and all of his parts and all of his extremities and all that stuff, which was good. But it's still a scary injury, and we'll really kind of take a dive into it here to start things off. But you do have the Yankees on tonight. Yankees Orioles, game one of a 3-game set. 7 games left for the Yankees, 6 left for the Mets. And a big series opens up tonight for the New York Mets as they have a massive 3-game set, the biggest series of the season. You take one of the games, you just got to sweep Washington, and then that's it. That's your path. Yesterday, Karn and Roberts, they show that they do on WFAN. They were saying how the Mets got to go 4-2. If they go 4-2 in these final 6 games, they're the NL East champions. No other way to put it, no matter whatever the Braves do. If they go 4-2 in these final 6 games, they win the division title, they win the division, and they get a first-round bye in the postseason and avoid the brutal, scary 3-game wild card that nobody really wants to be a part of if you have a chance to win a division. Now, if you're a team that's in the wild card, you're happy about it. But if you're a team like the Mets to blow the division and then have to play that wild card round, that's the worst case scenario. So, big series opening up tonight in Atlanta. 3 games, huge 3 games for the Mets. And as for the Yankees, they got 7 games left. They mean absolutely really nothing. I mean, at this point, you have 7 games left. Yankees need to go 4-3 in their final 7 games. They need to get at least 4 wins to get to the 100-win mark. I think that's your kind of last goal. Get to the 100-win mark going to the postseason. Other than that, we're all watching for Aaron Judge's 62nd home run. He hit 61 on Wednesday. Was an awesome sight. Was a great moment with him and his mom and Roger Maris Jr. and all that stuff. Other than that, though, Yankees aren't playing for much. They won the division. They clinched the playoff spot. They can't go anywhere. It is what, they're not really playing for much. So you got that going tonight, hoping to stack up a couple more wins and get to 100 at that point. That's where we are at this point in the year, just getting ready for the postseason. So a lot to get to today. It is a Football Friday podcast. You got the NFL game picks. I'll get into every game, take a deep dive into it, get you ready for week number 4. Can't believe I'm saying that already. Yes, it's week 4 already. We'll also get you ready for fantasy football, give you my preview, who to start, who to sit, all that good stuff. And then, as always, we'll finish things off with the New York Sports Update. Yankees tonight, game 1 of a 3-game set against the Orioles, and the Mets, game 1 of a 3-game set against the Braves. A big 3-game set tonight. Mets-Braves in Atlanta. All right, so with all that being said, let's get into it. It's a Football Friday podcast. This is the BSN podcast, and let's get into it. So we're going to get here to week 4 of the NFL season. Last night, the Bengals got the win over the Miami Dolphins by a score of 27-15. I predicted the Bengals to win that game, so I am now 1-0 this week going into going to Sunday. I am now 23-26 on the season. It is ugly. I had a really bad week last week, 5-11. I went predicting all 16 of the NFL games. I went 5-11, which is really bad. I am now below 503 in this week, so looking to get above 500 on the season. I need to go 4 games above 500. So I need to at least this week, go 10-6 in order to get to above 500 this week. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. I picked last night's game correct. So that is now all 4 of the Thursday night games I've gotten correct this year. 4-0 predicting the Thursday night games this year. Obviously predicted Week 1, Buffalo. Week 2, picked Kansas City. Last week, I picked Cleveland. This week, I went Cincinnati. Got them all right. We'll see what happens next week between the Colts and the Broncos. But I just want to say this. As much as, we all, as sports fans, last night was a very ugly sight with Tua. It was just a really hard to watch Amazon Prime kept showing the replay, which I really didn't get why. Once was enough. I understand showing the replay one time for the people that might have missed it, but showing it 4 or 5 times was really kind of ridiculous, which just wasn't good. Not going to crush Amazon Prime for it, but it was an ugly sight last night, and it was a real kind of eye-opener for the NFL as to why in the world Tua was out there in the first place. And you saw last week the Dolphins in their win against Buffalo. Tua goes down, hits his head on the ground, and gets up and was really loopy. And I'm sure, a lot of you all know this, but he was really loopy. I mean, he literally fell. He got up, was walking, and he fell back down, needed help going off the field. It was almost clear it was concussion. The Dolphins labeled it as like a back injury. He went back out, was okay. You throw him back out there Thursday night, gets hit again, hits his head, and now what was originally probably just a concussion could be more severe. I mean, that was a really bad moment and a bad look for the NFL, where, again, player safety, you question it. Why was he out there in the first place? Why did he come back in the Bills game? And I said that, I believe I said it on Monday, and people were saying it all week. It didn't get as much attention, but everybody was wondering why in the world was he back out there after that hit that he took against the Bills. He goes back out, and obviously you walk out of that game and it's like, all right, he's fine because he never took another hit. He never hit his head again. There was nothing major that popped up. But it was almost like the Dolphins knew this too, because they went out and signed a quarterback. I think they signed one off the practice squad or whatever to back up Bridgewater last night just in case Tua re-injuries his back, is what they were saying. But it was clearly a concussion he was dealing with. I mean, he was loopy against Buffalo on Sunday. And usually concussions, you miss 1 week. Usually you miss a week. Sometimes, like Patrick Mahomes last year when, or was it last year or the year before? I forget what it was. But Patrick Mahomes, I remember when he went down with a concussion, he ended up, he was back the next week. It was in the playoffs. That was when Chad Henne came in and all that stuff. So sometimes a concussion, again, I'm not a doctor, but it just doesn't make sense. Like sometimes a concussion, you suffer a concussion, you're back the next week. But it's the next Sunday. It's not Thursday. If you get a concussion on Sunday, you're not back in the game on Thursday because you got a clear concussion protocol. I believe it's like that 3-4 day. You don't even have the time to clear protocol. So it's like, what? It didn't make sense. So a scary sight. It is good news though that Tua is doing okay. It was an ugly sight. It was tough to watch. I mean, it's just, you wonder really what the player safety is. I mean, why was he back out there? And who on the Dolphins do you blame? Is it the training staff? Because there's it's obviously he had a concussion and he re-aggravated it. It's obvious. So, I don't know. It's really going to be interesting to see. NFLPA is going to investigate this. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Maybe it was a back issue and then it turned into a head issue. Maybe, Tua showed no signs of concussion, but it was. I don't know. I mean, it's very possible. Tua said, I want to be back out there. Dolphins were like, all right, go back out there. He was fine. As they always say, everything's all good until, everything's fun and games until something happens. So this is kind of that type of case. So I just wanted to open up the show today with that. And I think after that, it kind of took the energy out of the Dolphins, and it was an ugly sight. It wasn't good. So you really wonder what happens, because there's gonna be a lot. There better be a lot of disciplinary actions on the Dolphins or whoever made the decision to put him out there if in fact they find out that Tua was playing in that game with a concussion 3 days later after he suffered a concussion. Out of this world crazy. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, with that being said, let's get into the games for this week. So we're going to start things off with the Vikings and Saints. Vikings come into this game 3-point favorites. Saints over-under. Obviously the underdogs here. Over-under set at 41.5. This is in London, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, NFL Network. So this will be the London game this year. I believe next week then it will be Giants-Packers coming up. And then it will be, obviously Vikings-Saints. So this is in London. Vikings 2-1, Saints 1-2. These games are so hard to predict because you never know what to expect when you go out to London. You have the whole travel aspect of it. You spend a whole week out there, the whole jet lag issue and all the practicing. And the London games are weird. Like, you never know what to expect. It's really, really tough to go out and win games in London just because of everything that takes place in the week. Being at a different practice facility, being on being across the bay, all that stuff. It's just weird. It's just a weird kind of week for these teams. But really getting into the X's and O's, I think the Vikings are going to win this game. Again, you know how I feel about the Vikings. They've been very, very good this season outside of the one game against Philly, and that's not surprising considering Kirk Cousins cannot play on prime time. I think they're going to come out with a lot of energy. I think they're going to come out with a lot of juice. I know Dalvin Cook's questionable, and we'll see how that all plays out and see what happens. There's a good chance you're watching this game without Dalvin Cook and without Michael Thomas. Now, Michael Thomas, Dennis Allen said he's out. He's not going to be playing this game. Michael Thomas is out, which is a tough blow for New Orleans because he's been a really, really solid asset for them first couple weeks of the season, has actually looked like the Michael Thomas that he was earlier in the year. Dalvin Cook, he might not play. We'll see how it plays out. But you do have a solid running back behind Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison. And I like him a lot. I like the Vikings either way, even with Cook or without Cook. As a matter of fact, Dalvin Cook hasn't played his best football so far. He has not really excelled that much so far. He's been good, not the Dalvin Cook of usual. So it's not like they've been still operating fine even with Dalvin Cook not playing at the highest level. Alexander Mattison is solid backup. I look at it as, what's the replacement for Michael Thomas? Now it's up to Jarvis Landry to carry a lot of the load and Alvin Kamara as always. So I'm going to take the Vikings here. I like them a lot. I think they're just more talented. Even if Cook doesn't play, Alexander Madison's a much, much better backup, a much better option. It's a bigger blow for the Saints to lose Michael Thomas than the Vikings to lose Cook. I like the Vikings here anyway, especially with Thielen playing well last week. Maybe he starts to get in a groove a little bit. Give me the Vikings, 21-13 Vikings win. I'll take the under on the over-under 41.5. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slow start. It usually is. Things pick up second half. All the different time, all that stuff. Weird game, weird week. But give me the Vikings, 21-13. Now we go to the Bills-Ravens. Bills come into this game 2-1. Ravens come into this game 2-1. Bills are 3-point favorites. Over-under is 51, 1 Eastern on CBS. This is an interesting game because you look at this game, both these teams lost to Miami. My biggest concern here is, what is the Ravens' defense? What's the Ravens' defense? This is going to be a very high-scoring game because the Ravens' defense has been awful this year. And you look at the Bills' defense, and their secondary is a complete train wreck right now. It's a bunch of backups, Khair Elam, that's about it. I mean, they are a big mess in the secondary. Now, last week, it didn't really hurt them. They lost, they let up 21 points. It's not like the Dolphins went out there, scored 35, and passed for 400 yards. No, they didn't. They did a good job. The secondary for the Bills contained a Dolphins offense that put up, 1 billion yards the week prior against the Ravens. So it's going to be an interesting game here because you have two high-powered offenses and a Ravens defense that not really much injuries. They just haven't been good. And a Bills defense that has a lot of injuries in the secondary. Luckily, however, I'm going to take the Bills here, and I'll tell you why. Their issues are in the secondary. Lamar Jackson's not going to go out there and throw for 400 yards. He's not going to toast your defense. It's a running offense. It's not a passing offense. I think you're going to see a lot more of Dobbins this week. I think you're going to see a lot more of him, considering this is his second week back. I like the Bills here because the Dolphins' defense has been terrible. And the Bills, their strength has kind of been up front so far. That's what you need to beat the Ravens. You don't need a great secondary to beat Baltimore. They're not going to throw it a ton. So give me the Bills scoring a lot on Baltimore. I do think Baltimore's going to score because their offense is good. But give me the Bills 35-28 shootout. Bills win 35-28. I'll take the over on the over-under of 51 and the Bills win and cover the 3 and get a win on the road in Baltimore. Our next game here, we got the Browns and the Falcons. Browns are a slight 1-point favorite, 2-1. Falcons are 1-2. Over-under set at 47.5, 1 Eastern on CBS. I was actually surprised to see the over-under almost at 50, 47.5. I thought it would be at 42, 43. It's all the way up to 47.5. I don't think this is going to be an incredibly high-scoring game. I like what both these teams have done on offense, but they haven't, it's like, I like the way the Browns have ran the ball, and Mariota's played pretty well. But it's like, other than that, these offenses are big question marks. Now, the defense, this is why I think the Browns are going to win this game. I think the Browns will win this game, and I'll tell you why. When I look at the Falcons' defense, I don't fully trust it, especially against this rushing attack in Cleveland, where Nick Chubb's been phenomenal this year. When I look at the strength of the Browns, it's their defense. And the Falcons have been good offensively. Mariota, Kyle Pitts have had a nice connection. They've done some good things. Last week, I forget the guy's name. He exploded for a ton of yards. Had like 30 fantasy points out of the middle of nowhere. Mariota's played well. But again, defensively, I think the Browns are going to see Mariota take a little bit of a dip this week. I think you're going to see, him kind of, maybe struggle a little bit. It's an interesting game because, both offenses have played pretty well. But other than that, it's like, is it enough? Is Nick Chubb enough to carry this Browns offense? Is Mariota going to continue this high level of play? I trust the Browns and running the ball with Nick Chubb more than I trust Mariota and his ability to throw early on here. Give me the Browns on the road. I'm going to throw this in here just because. A comeback victory. Sorry, Falcons fans. Browns on the road. Low scoring, 20-17. Late touchdown by Chubb. Wins it. Browns win. Under on the over-under of 47.5. Browns win. And Stefanski and Jacoby Brissett pick up their third victory of the season. Give me Cleveland in this game. Next up here, we got the Chargers and the Texans. Chargers open up 1-2. Texans 0-2-1. Chargers 5.5-point favorites, 1 Eastern CBS. Over-under set at 45. Look, I look at this game as the Chargers. They're going to come out frustrated. They're going to come out angry. They're going to come out frustrated. They're not going to be happy. Herbert's not going to be happy. They're going to come out with a ton of energy in this game, and there's a very good chance they get Keenan Allen back. We'll see. He's questionable. He's been limited all this week. We'll see how it all plays out. Obviously, the big question about Herbert and how does he play? Can he step up and make a big play, even with the rib issue? But I look at this game. I think this is going to be a blowout. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. I have not liked what I saw in Houston at all. I haven't. I know they're home here. Haven't liked what I saw. They lost last week to the Bears when the Bears and Justin Fields throw under 50%. Again, I think this is a game. This is one, as people would say, a get-right game for the Chargers. Last week, you get smoked at home in your own building against Jacksonville. No Keenan Allen. Herbert didn't play great. It wasn't a good week. Chargers are anxious. They're going to come out frustrated. They're going to come out with their hair on fire. Give me the Chargers. A big win, 31-13. Chargers win big. Big Chargers win. They win. I'll take the under on the over-under of 45. Chargers win and cover the 5.5 big time. Next up, we got the Cowboys and the Commanders, 1 Eastern on Fox. Cowboys 2-1, Commanders 1-2. A pretty big game, over under 41 here. A pretty big game early on for the AFC East. Cowboys, if they can get to the 3-1 mark, you hear rumors about a potential Dak Prescott coming back soon. A team like the Commanders trying to get back to 500. You lose this game. For an NFC, this is a big game for Washington. Because if Washington loses this game, it's a tough blow for them. Because, you can look at their schedule coming up and say, they got Tennessee and Chicago, and those are 2 winnable games. Don't get me wrong. But if you start out 1-3, the NFC East has been very good. You have the only remaining undefeated team in football. You have a Giants team that is a very favorable matchup this week against Chicago. There's a good chance. And a Philly team, who, by the way, is playing Jacksonville, and although Jacksonville played very well last week, it's a favorable game for them. I'll get to that here in a second. That's actually my next game. But there's a good chance you have a 4-0 Phillies team, or Eagles team rather, a 3-1 Giants, and if you lose this game, 3-1 Cowboys. You could start to get buried really fast in the NFC. So a big big game for Washington. You have to come out and play good. If you lose this game, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You have to then bounce back the next couple weeks. And you play a Tennessee team that just got off of a big win, and they might have another win this week against Indy. So Washington here is a big game on the road. I liked what I've seen out of the Cowboys. I've been pleasantly surprised from what Cooper Rush has done. He's 3-0 this year, or 2-0 this year at quarterback. Obviously, Dak going down in the first game, no offense generated. He beats Cincinnati, goes on the road, beats a exciting, packed MetLife crowd on Monday night. I mean, I liked what I've seen out of Cooper Rush. They're at home. The crowd's going to be behind him. Give me the Cowboys and Cooper Rush. They get Gallup back this week, which I think is big for Dallas. Another weapon. Give me Cooper Rush and the Cowboys at home. 23-13 Cowboys win. A late touchdown seals it. Gallup has a good game. Lamb plays well. Defense does well. Cowboys win at home, 23-13. And maybe they hand the keys back to Dak with a 3-1, 4-1 record. We'll see. But Cowboys win 23-13. Under on the over-under 41, and they cover the 3 points. All right, next up here we got the Eagles and the Jaguars. Eagles are 3-1. Jaguars are 2-1. Eagles 6.5-point favorites. Over-under set at 45.5. 1 Eastern CBS here. This is an interesting game. What are you going to go with? Because it's two hot teams. You have an Eagles team that is 4-0, riding high, and you have a Jaguars team that is coming off of a massive victory on the road against the Chargers, who I don't care if Keenan Allen wasn't playing. I don't care if Justin Herbert's partially hurt. I don't care. They went on the road and put up 30-plus points against a team that has Super Bowl aspirations this year. They did a very, very surprising thing in the NFL. Go on the road and beat a very good team. And they showed what they can do in big spots. Now, here's my thing with the Eagles. Like them a lot. They've been great this year. My only issue is this is one of these games that could be a possible trap game. Because you have Arizona you have Arizona the next week, and then you have Dallas, and then you have a bye. It's like they have two big games coming up. You're gonna find a lot out about Nick Sirianni and this Eagles team. If they come out here and crush Jacksonville, well, they're well coached and they're a very good team. Not saying if they lose, they're not well coached, but this would be a typical loss for an NFL team. You have a big game next week on the road against Arizona, and after that, you get the Cowboys before the bye. It's like that gets you amped up. And you have a Jacksonville team that it's like, who cares? They won last week. Who cares? It's going to be interesting. It's an interesting game. It could be a trap game. It definitely could be. But I'm going to take the Eagles, and again, talent. Jaguars have been good. Eagles are one of the most talented football teams in football. And the scariest part, Devonte Smith is just getting started. They won those two games early, first 2 weeks. Devonte Smith wasn't a big role. Last week, played a big role. A.J. Brown's been great. They are a very talented football team. Philly wins at home. They win. It's close. Eagles win 31-23. A late touchdown wins it. For the Philadelphia Eagles, they will move to 4-0. Eagles win. Just cover the 6.5. Eagles win. I'll take the over on the over-under 45.5. And the Eagles improve to 4-0 on this young season. Next up here, we got the Lions and the Seahawks. Lions 1-2, Seahawks 1-2. Lions 3.5-point favorites. Over/under set at 47.5. 1 Eastern on Fox. Man, oh man. The Lions are just a fun team to watch here. I'm going to take the Lions. The Seahawks last week, I took them. They lost at home against Atlanta. I've lost all hope in Atlanta. Falcons. They won week 1. That was great. The Geno Smith stuff is worn down. The true not having a quarterback is starting to kick in for Seattle. You don't do much in week 2 against, against San Francisco. You don't do anything week 3 against Atlanta. An Atlanta defense that isn't very good. It's just poor. They're not a very good football team. They have no quarterback. Detroit's been phenomenal this year. They almost beat Minnesota last week on the road. It's crazy. We go down this road again. It's not the Lions could very well be 3-0 right now. Their losses have been by a combined 7 points. They lost by 3 in week 1. Oh, by the way, they put up 35 points. and they lost by 4 last week against the Vikings. If you would have told me they put up 35 points and put up 24 the next, and put up 35 points, I would have I would have said they would have won. Geez, the next week they put up 36 and won. They put up one more. I mean, they've been phenomenal this year. They're competing, and again, Dan Campbell, just a energized, just a crazy head coach, but he gets the job done. Players play for him. They believe in him. I mean, well-coached team. I like Detroit a lot. They're not an incredibly talented football team, but the guys they got believe, buy in, they play hard. Detroit at home gets the win here. Give me the Lions. 27-17 Lions win. Offense plays a big role. The Lions get the win. I'll take the under on the over-under of 47.5, and the Lions cover the 3.5 points. All right, got to get going here a little bit quicker. Final 1 o'clock game here. You got Colts Titans. Colts 1-1-1. Titans 1-2. Colts are 3.5-point favorites. Over/under set at 43. 1 Eastern on Fox. Look, I think this is a complete trap game for Indy. I think the Titans win this game. I liked what I saw out of Tennessee last week. Again, Colts getting a big win last week against Kansas City at home. You now get a game against Tennessee in division game where it's like, we just beat Kansas City. We're going to be riding high. But then just a couple days down the road, we faced a Denver team that's like, their offense stinks. So I think the Colts here get a little too greedy. And I think they come out a little flat. I don't think they come out full of energy. I think Tennessee comes into this game, kind of under the radar. Yeah, they got a win last week. All right, cool. They lost to, the Giants and stuff like that. And, it's kind of like, they lost to the Giants and they also lost to Buffalo, got smoked. Like, I think they kind of come into this game under the radar and beat Indy. I think Indy riding high after a win, Thursday night game just a couple days away, a beatable opponent in Denver. I think this has all the makings for a trap game. I really do. So I'm going to take the Titans here. I liked what I saw of them last week against the Raiders. Again, offense isn't great. They get Henry involved, maybe get Robert Woods a little bit, trade, Burks, just find a way. Colts aren't a great offensive team. Titans got a good, solid defense. They can go out there and put up 20 points. They'll put themselves in position to win. Give me the Titans here, 23-20. Titans win. Titans plus 3.5 win late here. Titans get the win on the road, plus 3.5. All right, now we go into the 4 o'clock games here. We got the Cardinals and the Panthers. Cardinals 1-2, Panthers 1-2. Cardinals a slight 1-point favorite, 4:05 Eastern on Fox. Panthers, the underdogs here at home, 43.5 is the over-under. I'm taking Arizona. And, I've actually been pleasantly surprised. Although Arizona is 1-2, I've actually been pleasantly surprised in a way. The way Arizona has a weird year. Because you get smoked week 1 against Kansas City. You win week 2 in excellent fashion, comeback fashion, on the road against the Raiders. And you go back home and you get crushed and you lose to the Rams and you can't do anything offensively. So it's weird. I look at this Cardinals team, it's like on the road they're this offensive team that makes these comebacks, and at home they can't score. It's weird. I mean, they've scored a combined 39 points at home. They've scored 29 on the road. I mean, that's great. In 2 home games, they've scored 39 points. In 1 road game, they put up 29. It's weird. It's odd. It's like, or no, they haven't even. It's 32. 12 plus 21 plus 12. What is that? 31, 33. They've put up 33 points on the road at home this season in 2 games. 6 quarters of football, they've put up 33 points. 1 game on the road, they've put up 29. They've been a better road team. Sometimes teams are like that. They do better away from their home stadium. It's weird, but it happens. I think last week against Carolina, I think that was kind of a fluke victory. I don't think that was really what this Carolina team is. I don't think they're well coached. I like Arizona here. They seem like a road warrior this season. Give me Arizona. 27-23 Cardinals win. Give me the Cardinals covering the 1 point. Cardinals win 27-23. I'll take the over on the over-under 43.5, and the Cardinals get the win. All right, 3 games left here. We got Raiders, Broncos. Raiders come into this game the favorites, even though they're 0-3. It just shows you what the people think about the Broncos' 2-1 record. They're 2.5-point favorites, over-under set at 45.5. Raiders 0-3, Broncos 2-1, 4:25 p.m. Eastern, CBS. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season Raiders go into Week 4 and 0-3, and the Broncos go into Week 4 2-1, I would have probably said to you Broncos are probably 6-point favorites in that game at the beginning of the year. But that's not the case. Nobody believes in this Broncos team and Nathaniel Hackett because they haven't scored. And rightfully so, I don't believe in them still. Now, they're winning games. They're doing it ugly, but they're winning. They're 2-1. They got a winning record coming to this game. No matter what happens, they have an opportunity to get to 3-1. I just can't envision a world where this Raiders team just continues to lose. Like, they have too much talent to lose games. I mean, when I look at this game, I look at it as a very, very, very talented offense versus a very talented defense, but it's like they're at home. The Raiders are at home. They have the advantage here. Like, you have to go out and win this game. You have to. Your defense has to do just enough because the Broncos, as far as we know right now, they're not going to go out there and put up 30, especially on the road. So I like the Raiders here. I just can't picture a world where a team with this much talent, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Jacobs, Carr, Adams, all of these pieces to be 0-4. And I can't picture a world Russell Wilson going on the road and putting up 31 this week. So I like the Raiders. Until the Broncos prove to me that they can go out and score consistently, I probably won't pick them a ton. I don't know. I mean, they play the Colts next week, so there's a chance I pick them there because the Colts aren't very good. We'll see how everything plays out this week. But I like the Raiders here. Again, I just don't think. I think there's a sense of urgency with the Raiders. I just can't see them falling to 0-4. They're too talented to do that. So give me the Raiders here. 31-17 Raiders win. I'll take the over on the over-under 45.5. Raiders win and cover the 2.5. All right, now we go to Packers, Patriots. Packers 2-1, Patriots 1-2. Packers big 9.5-point favorites, over-under set at 44:25 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Look, here's my thoughts on this game. Mac Jones is out. Brian Hoyer looks like he's going to be the quarterback. Packers are winning this game by a mile. I know Hoyer's a veteran. I get all that stuff, but Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good last week. Played well to start. Didn't finish very strong, but you saw Dobbs play well. Cobb, a couple of those guys played well. You know, you get Dillon and Jones involved. You're at home. Again, I like Green Bay here. I do. I mean, these are two non-crazy offensive teams so far, but it's Brian Hoyer. You look at the quarterback matchup. It's Brian Hoyer versus Aaron Rodgers. Come on, let's be real here. Packers win this game big, 31-10. Over on the over-under 40. They cover the 9.5 big time. All right, now we finish things off here with the Chiefs-Buccaneers. This line has moved a lot. It's like been the Chiefs have been 1-point favorites. Bucs have been 1. You know, it's been weird. It's been kind of moving back and forth. If I would have put money on it, I probably would have put it on the one of the Chiefs earlier on. But it's moved. Buccaneers come into this game 2-1, Chiefs as well. Buccaneers are a slight 1-point favorite here. Over-under set at 46, 8:20 Eastern on NBC. This will close out this Week 4 Sunday. Obviously, Monday night will officially close it out with 49ers Rams. I don't know. I just don't trust Tampa right now in their offense. I just don't. I know they're 2-1. Their defense has been phenomenal. I mean, Kansas City's looked great. I know last week they struggled, but they've looked perfectly fine without Tyreek Hill. And to me, the Buccaneers have kind of struggled this year to get anything going on offense. The Chiefs have been just fine. I like Kansas City in this game. Yes, they're on the road. Yes, it's a good defense. Rodgers looked good last week, though, against this Tampa defense. He probably looked the best he has all season against Tampa last week. Dobbs had a good game, kind of a coming-out party for him. And again, the Packers are still missing some pieces. So I like Kansas City here. Their offense has been very good. I know, it's going to be tough to run the ball. You're going to see a lot of Mahomes passing. Got to get Hardman involved. Got to get Kelsey, guys like that. Again, talent-wise, I just like Kansas City. I think their offense is too overpowering for this Tampa defense that struggled a little bit last week. Didn't play bad. They played well, but Rodgers looked pretty good. Mahomes, more weapons. Give me Mahomes and the Chiefs on the road. Get the win in Tampa against the Buccaneers. Chiefs win this game 27-17. Chiefs will get the win, and I'll take the under on the over-under of 46. Chiefs +1. Chiefs win. All right, so that's what I got there for the game picks. Now let's get into the Jets and the Giants. I'll start with the Giants, and I'll go to the Jets. Giants, 3-point favorites, 2-1. Bears, 2-1 in this game. Over-under set at 39.5, 1 Eastern on Fox. Look, I'll say this. I think the Giants are going to win this game. Again, last week was tough to watch. It was bad. It was a very bad performance for the Giants. If you're a Giant fan, you're extremely frustrated with the way things went last week. You obviously have no Sterling Shepard. He's out for the season. But again, I talked about this on Wednesday when I talked about Galladay. I don't think that's a reason to panic if I'm a Giants fan. I don't. I'm not a Giants fan, obviously. But if you're a Giants fan, I wouldn't sit here and panic just because Shepard went down and they lost one game. The Giants aren't going to win every game. They're not. But when I look at this game, it's like, I saw a stat yesterday. Cooper Kupp has 28 catches this year. Stephon Diggs has 27. All right. Marquise Brown, I think I saw. I can pull it up here. Marquise Brown has 24. The Bears as an entire team have 23 receptions this season. Justin Fields has the lowest passing percentage, one of the lowest in all of football. One of the lowest yards in all of football. Their offense has done nothing. Yes, they're 2-1, but it's because of their defense. And not even that. I mean, let's be real here. They played up against a Niners team in the rain. They played up against a Packers team on the road and got crushed. And they faced a Texans team who can't do anything offensively. So I don't really think, and again, those two games are at home. On the road, they looked bad in Green Bay. Maybe not as bad as they have before, but it wasn't good enough. They lost by 17. 2 scores is 2 scores, no matter what way you put it. 3 scores, actually. Losing by 3 scores is 3 scores. No matter what way you try to spin it, it's 3 scores. On the road against Green Bay, a division rival. So I like the Giants here. I know their receiving core has been questionable, but look, it's not going to take a ton. They put up 16 points this week like they did last week. They'll be in a golden position to win this game. I think this game's going to be like Carolina, where the defense steps up in a big way. I think you're going to see a lot of, again, Fields. I mean, the two games they have won, he's gone 8-17 passing. He's had less than 50% passing. He's had less of a 50% completion percentage. The 2 games they've won. It's the weirdest thing ever, but it's happened. So I'm going to take the Giants at home. Bad offense in Chicago. Giants right the ship from last week's loss. They go 3-1, go 2-1 on this 3-game homestand. Give me the Giants here. Late, kind of just a sluggish, slow game. Giants win 17-13, cover the 3 points, and they get the win at home and get to 3-1 on the young season. I take the under on the over on 39.5. Giants get the win and prove the 3-1. 54%. By the way, a chance of light rain, which isn't going to help. This is going to be a sluggish. That's why the over-under is under 40. You know it's going to be a low-scoring game when the over-under is under 40. That's when you know. So now we go to the Jets-Steelers. Jets come into this game 1-2. Steelers come into this game 1-2 as well. Steelers are 3.5-point favorites. Over-under set at 41.5. 1 Eastern CBS. Look, the big storyline coming into this game is Zach Wilson. And you have this entire week of all the weird, crazy comments from Saleh. You hear the stuff from Jeff Ulbrich about Quinnen Williams. All these different things. Jets right now are in a very tough spot. They've had 3 really, they haven't had a game where they've played collectively good football. To break it down for you, week 1, you play really poorly on offense, you step up on defense. Week 2, you play well on offense, you play terrible on defense. You did get the win week 2 thanks to the late game heroics. And week 3, you're bad on both sides of the ball. The Jets, this is a big game for them. You got to come out and you got to play well. You can't come out in this game just for Saleh's sake. You can't come out into this game and get crushed and allow Mitch Trubisky to throw for 290, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and lose this game 28-10. You just can't let that happen. And you also have a Dolphins team that might not have Tua next week, but they're well rested. They just played a Thursday night game. They're going to have a lot of time off. They got a lot of time to prepare. So I look at this as Jets got to go out and win this game. Look, we said at the beginning of the year, it's a realistic possibility for the Jets to go 2-2. Lose to the Ravens, beat the Browns, lose to the Bengals, beat the Steelers. That's literally been it. So far, we're on that path. You go 2-2. I don't care how you do it. If you win 2-0 tomorrow, I don't care. I just want wins. If you get a safety tomorrow and you sack Trubisky, or the snapper snaps it over Trubisky's head in the first quarter, in the first snap of the game, and that's all it is, I don't care. I really don't. Just get the win. You get the win and you move to 2-2. You face a Miami team next week. We look at it completely differently. Now, if you lose this game, you go ahead and say, all right, you face a well-rested Miami team after a Thursday night. Also a team that got, coming off of a loss. And you know that they're going to be energized. You know they're going to be frustrated and they want to come out and play well. But if we win this game, you say, all right, you maybe get a Miami team without their starting quarterback, a Miami team coming off of a loss, Thursday night, you're at home, all right, you get a good chance. Again, week-by-week league, you could change the narrative this week. My biggest issue is with the defense. I just don't trust it. Now, I think Zach, in terms of how I think he's going to play, and I'll really get into my preview tomorrow on my In the Trench with Gang Green podcast that I do. It's going to be interesting to see how Zach Wilson does. I think there might be a little bit of rust. Is he going to go out there and throw for 4 touchdowns and 350 yards? No, I don't think so. Is it realistic to say he goes out there, throws for a touchdown or two, 210, 230, 250 yards? Yeah, I think that's realistic. I don't think that's crazy to say. I don't think that's much asking for, 60% completion percentage, something, high 50s, low 60s. I don't think that's crazy. A touchdown, 210 yards, call it a day. I don't think that's crazy to ask for. You get the run game going, got to find a way to get the win. Again, I personally don't think the Jets win this game. However, I don't think it's crazy to say they win. Again, more optimistic going into this game than I was last week against Cincinnati. I knew last week against Cincinnati, even though I predicted a win, I had that bad feeling in the back of my head that was just like, Jets are going to find a way to blow this. I did. I predicted a win, but don't get me wrong, I did have that bad feeling of Jets are going to go out and jet, however you want to say it. They're going to go out and lay a dud. But for this game, look, you have a lot of energy. You come out, you got your quarterback. Again, the reason I want to make this clear, I don't think the Jets win this game, and I'll tell you why. On the road, and their defense has been atrocious. Najee Harris, if he goes out there and plays well, and he's running all over this team, the Jets have not done a very good job stopping the run, they haven't done a very good job at anything on defense, and I think that's the problem. So, look, I don't think the Jets win this game. I hope I'm wrong. Out of all my picks I make, I always say this, unless if I predict them to win. Out of all the picks I make, I hate making this pick. I hate picking. I really don't like picking for or against my team. I just don't like it. I like going into the game, kind of just watching it. But I kind of have to because, I keep track of all this stuff. So, but I do think Zach plays well. Again, I do. I think the reason they don't win this game is probably because of their defense. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the defense comes out and plays well. I hope Zach, puts some energy into this team, and we'll see how it all plays out. So, it's a big just come out with some energy. I think if you win the coin toss, go out there. Put Zach out there. I know you want to ease him into things, but put him out there. Try to get a score to start things off. Try to get ahead on the road. You win this game, our mindset as Jet fan, if we win this game and Zach plays well, your mindset changes completely different. Even after the Cleveland win, you feel way more optimistic after that because it was your future quarterback that's doing it, not Joe Flacco. Go out there, make some plays, get Elijah Moore involved. Don't throw the ball 60 times or don't throw the ball 50 times. Get Breece Hall, Michael Carter involved. I want to come out of this game with over 100 total rushing yards, and I want to come out of this game with Elijah Moore playing well and Zach Wilson feeling comfortable and looking good. And obviously coming out of this game with a win and getting ready for next week against Miami at home. So go ahead and do it. We'll see. All right, so as for the picks, obviously just told you my Jet pick here. We got Vikings, Saints. I got the Vikings winning, Giants winning, Bills winning, Browns winning, Chargers winning, Cowboys winning, Eagles winning, Lions winning, Titans winning, Cardinals winning, Raiders winning, Packers winning, and the Chiefs winning. And those are my picks for Week 4 of the NFL season. All right, so now let's get to the MLB today. You have some games on. Obviously, the Nationals Philly on right now. You got Reds Cubs that just concluded. Nationals Phillies on later. Doubleheader due to some of the rain that's expected, in the East Coast tri-state area. Coming from Florida, which has really just been devastating. Some of the pictures and the videos that I've seen there. So you'll definitely see some of that rain coming up. Blue Jays, Red Sox, Royals, Guardians, Twins, Tigers, Marlins, Brewers, Rays, Astros, Pirates, Cardinals, Rangers, Angels, A's, Mariners, Padres, White Sox, Dodgers, Rockies, Diamondbacks, Giants are some of the games on today. Mets, Braves tonight. Biggest series of the season, you could say, of the MLB season, and obviously of the Mets season. Mets are 98-58. Braves 97-59. Over-under set at 6.5 for this game. You got two of some of the league's best pitchers on the mound. Jacob deGrom 5-3 with a 2.93 ERA, and Max Fried is 13-7 with a 2.50 ERA. 7:20 Eastern, MLB Network. A huge series for the Mets. A huge series for the Braves. Braves go out and win 2 or 3. There's a good chance they're winning the division. Good chance whoever wins this series wins the division. Let's put it at that. You take 2 or 3 in this series, most likely you're winning the division. And as for the Yankees Orioles, Yankees come into this game 96-59, 4 games away from the big three digits, 100. Orioles are 80-76. Jordan Lyles on the mound for the Orioles, 11-11. He's 11-11 with a 4.55 ERA. And the Yankees throw Domingo Germán out there. He's 2-3 with a 3.30 over under 7.5 tonight, 7 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Something they actually did pretty good tonight. They have it on Prime Video, but they also have it on Yes. And I think this is also part of the whole Aaron Judge home run chase, which is pretty cool. So it's also on Yes tonight for those of you who are checking it out. And as for college football, got a lot of really exciting games this week. You got Ole Miss, Kentucky's a good one, UCLA, Washington, Iowa, Michigan's an interesting game. TCU, Oklahoma should be a good one. A lot of really good games. Kansas State, Texas Tech. Texas Tech fresh off the win against Texas. Kansas State beating Oklahoma last week. You got Alabama, Arkansas, which is going to be a lot of fun. Really interesting. Baylor, Oklahoma State. Florida State, Wake Forest. I mean, a ton of really good games. Texas A&M, Mississippi State. You got those are the main ones, obviously, and then you got Clemson, North Carolina State, a top 10 matchup in Death Valley. Clemson, North Carolina State, NC State number 10, Clemson number 5. Really good week, probably so far. Maybe I'm forgetting a week, but week 5 looking like it might be the best week of college football. I mean, you got a ton of really good matchups, and after this week, there's a good chance you see a lot of movement. I mean, if NC State goes on the road and beat Clemson, they're going to move up a ton. And there maybe you get, I mean, there's a possibility you get a couple upsets too. You know, Oklahoma State. You know, I mean, again, you know, there's definitely a couple teams that, you know, you better watch out for. I mean, a lot of really good games. So should be interesting to see how it all plays out. Kentucky inside the top 10. Ole Miss, though, at home, number 14, the ranked team in the nation. You could see a lot of teams this week soar into the top 10, especially with the top 10 going up against some really tough matchups. So it makes for an exciting week. So coming up here, BYU last night beat Utah State. So that was the game last night in the top 25. All right, so now we get to fantasy football here. And it's interesting right now. For my fantasy football team right now is not in a very good spot. I am 0-3 in one of my leagues, 1-2 in the other 3. So we got news today. Keenan Allen is out. He has been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Texans. So Keenan Allen is out of this game. I actually picked up Conklin this week in one of my leagues. I like Conklin a lot. I think you're going to see his play get elevated because of Wilson's back. Wilson used them a lot in training camp and at the green and white scrimmage. He utilized them a lot more than Uzomah. I also think you're going to see the Jets hopefully incorporate more plays where kind of Wilson gets out of the pocket, you know, has that little 5-yard kind of just route right in front of him on the run, makes the play. You're going to see a lot from Conklin. Conklin, although it's been all garbage time, I mean, he's been very good. He had 11, 10, and 16 so far this season. And he's very good in PPR leagues as well. If it's non-PPR league, he hasn't been great. PPR leagues has been very good. 4 catches, 6 catches, 8 catches. They've gone up every week. I think you're going to see even more production this week. I think you're going to see probably more yards. I don't think you're going to see – you might see more catches. Maybe he gets 10 catches this week, but you're going to see more yards, I think, because I think he's going to get a lot more looks, and I think he's going to get a lot more space to make plays and get a lot more opportunities. I think you're going to see, a lot more, throws to him, 5 yards, from the line of scrimmage, get to 8, 9, kind of move the ball like that. I picked him up over Schultz. Now, Schultz, We'll see how it all plays out. He is questionable for Sunday's game. We'll see how it goes. He was obviously out last week. He hasn't really done a ton. He struggled in the first game with Cooper Kupp out there, which is not Cooper Kupp, Cooper Rush out there, which is concerning because he played well and had, 13, I think, in his first game in PPR leagues with Dak. Struggled week 2 against Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush also now with Gallup back. When I look at the tight end spot, I look at Conklin. It's like he's getting his guy back in Wilson. Schultz. Cooper Rush is getting another receiver. First game out there with Cooper Rush wasn't good. Injury, all that stuff. It's, came out. All that, I don't know. It's interesting. So I like Conklin here as a possible start, especially with Schultz maybe not being fully 100%. Now, with Allen being out, I am starting Curtis Samuel in one of my leagues here. With Allen being out and David Montgomery as well, if you have a guy like a Miles Sanders, who, yes, he struggled last week against Washington, but I think you're going to see him hopefully improve a little bit more this week from last week. Thielen's always an interesting play. He's a guy that had a very good week last week. Does he come out this week and play well? He's a guy that's very inconsistent. It tends to be 2-3 bad weeks, 1 really good week. 2-3 bad weeks, 1 really good week. He's inconsistent. It's kind of however you take that. Do you take last week's performance and say, this is legit? Or do you take it as, it's just one of those performances from Adam Thielen where he goes out, has a big game, and does nothing else? He put up 18 last week, 6 catches, 81 yards, and 18 points, 1 touchdown. So what are you going to see there? Does Cousins target him? Thielen's always an interesting play. You get lucky with Thielen. You do. I mean, it's kind of just your overall gut feeling. Again, you could go the Miles Sanders route if you want to go another running back. Even a guy like a Curtis Samuel. If you're in a deeper league and you got Curtis Samuel there, plug him in. Get him out there. Gabe Davis is questionable. In one of my leagues, Allen's out, Gabe Davis is also out. So you kind of look at it now, or Gabe Davis questionable. If you're missing both those guys, Judy's obviously an option. You could go bench. Michael Carter, I'm throwing in at the flex. I like, again, I think you're going to see a lot of Jets guys. I think the offense is going to be better with the Jets. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Jets fan. I think you're going to see it get elevated. Zach Wilson's a better quarterback than Joe Flacco. Let's be real here. The playbooks opens up because Zach Wilson has mobility. You're going to see a lot more different throws and different plays to running backs like Carter, to guys like Conklin. You're going to see them get elevated. So I think you're going to see more of a balanced offense. Dalvin Cook's good to go. Even a guy like a Devonte Smith. Like, if you have Devonte Smith and Keenan Allen's out, put Devonte Smith out there. Put him out there. He's a guy that has had a phenomenal week last week. If you want to go, if you want to maybe go, if you add Keenan Allen to your flex in a deeper league, you want to go Elaire, somebody like that could always be an option to fill in for Keenan Allen. Another big blow another week. But Devonte Smith, I believe he's just getting started. I mean, that's last week, I think, is what to expect from him. Week 1 did nothing. Week 2 put up 15. Week 3 had 30. No, I don't think he's going to put up 30 every week, but that's what you're going to see at him most of the year, getting a lot of targets, putting up a lot of yards. I like Devin Singletary this week. Had a really good week last week. Had a really, really good week. Obviously, a Ravens team that has really struggled this year with the potential of Gabe Davis being out. Singletary played really well last week. Who played really well. I think you're going to see him, in a way, take a kind of a step forward, especially if Gabe Davis is possibly out. If you want to put Judy there, put Singletary flex. I like Singletary this week. I do. Had a very good week last week, and he's going up against a worse defense. And he didn't do it last week he did it in the receiving game. He had 9 catches last week for 78 yards and a touchdown. That's what got him the 24 points last week. It wasn't on the ground. It was the catching. Gabe Davis, if he's out, you're going to see a lot more Singletary, especially with him being banged up. Like, they're going to utilize Singletary a lot in the run game. So, a lot in the passing game, rather. So, I like Singletary out there this week as well. And again, a guy like a Michael Carter, Dobbins too, all those guys possible options. Elijah Moore, I like a lot this week because I think you're going to see him get elevated. Play-wise, it's a little bit of a riskier bet because maybe you want to go a Thielen or a guy like a Devonte Smith or a guy like somebody like that over Moore, which is smart, just because those guys have already proven stuff. So we'll see how it all plays out. But that's kind of your fantasy advice. Quarterback-wise, I'm going Rodgers in all my leagues, and obviously Stafford in one of my leagues, Wentz in one of my other leagues, and then I'm going Rodgers in the other 2. So I have 4 leagues, Rodgers in 2 leagues, Wentz in one, and then Stafford in the other. So those are kind of your quarterbacks last week. Obviously, benching Rodgers this week. I'm going to play him. I think he's going to get a lot of options, a lot of time. I think you're going to see a lot of 3-and-outs with the Patriots. A lot of time with the Packers are going to dominate the ball. I think they're going to get a ton of time of possession. And I think you're going to see Rodgers. This is kind of one of these other games where he works out the receivers, and I like Rodgers a lot this week. So that is my fantasy advice as we get ready for Week 4. Week 4 is a big week in fantasy. Through those 3-0 people looking to get to, 4-0. You get the 3-1 people looking to, or 2-1 people looking to get to 3-1 and not fall back down to 500. You get people like me who are 0-3. You try to save your season and get a win because if you go to 0-4, that's a really tough hole to climb out of. 0-3 is bad enough. And you get the people that are 1-2 that say, hey, I win this week, I'm 500. So it's an interesting week as always in the world of fantasy, and looking forward to seeing how all this plays out here as the weeks go, as the season continues on here. So, by the way, as for fantasy baseball, quick update here. I'm winning in one of my leagues, 195 to 156, and I'm winning in my other league, 453 to 283. Like I said, 195 to 156 in my main league. So, see how that plays out. So that will do it for the podcast here today. As always, look out in the trench with Gangrene up tomorrow, along with Bub's Talking Baseball podcast. So look out for those two coming up this weekend. But as for this one, you know the drill. I'll see you back here all on the flip side on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. A great weekend. Judge chasing 62. Jets, Giants, NFL football, Mets, Braves. An exciting sports weekend ahead. Enjoy it. I will see you all back here on Monday. As always, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.